amazingly find is that people who come to reverence that kind of a story, and this is not uncommon in the environmental movement, when they stand before those sorts of realities or they think about their experiences, they fall back on metaphors of the sacred to describe that which is most meaningful to them, that has been most transformative to them. So for me, I try to keep it simple when it comes to these sort of definitional things. To me, that's religion. When people draw on metaphors of the sacred or talk about environmental degradation as a desecration, as environmentalists have done for generations here in the United States, for example, it seems commonsensical to understand that as in some sense spiritual or religious, whichever word we think makes the most sense, I guess. I had long been interested in both radical religion and environmental ethics, so I soon left for the woods to find out more about these groups. A few years later, I interviewed two individuals, Peg Millett and Mark Davis, both of whom served several years in prison for an effort to sabotage power lines coming from a nuclear power plant, which they viewed as a desecrating act. Millett described how when the FBI tried to capture her in the desert that night, she had a mystical experience that helped her to escape. As she fled, her consciousness was transformed into that of a ringtail cat, her totem animal. The ringtail consciousness was in me that night, she recalled. I ran through cactus gardens without getting stuck. I could feel the ringtail like it was surrounding me, protecting me. I felt its presence. Sticking with redwood examples, a few years ago I spoke with 3 direct action activists about the ritual and spiritual dimensions of their activism. They all agreed that direct action and forest ritualizing both keep them connected with the spirit, the consciousness of the forest. One of them explained, "What we know about redwoods is that they sprout. They hold on to each other. Today's redwoods are part of this continuous living, sprouting being, or consciousness that once covered millions of acres. And all of this knowledge has been chewed up and chased into small pockets." He then described an experience during a meditative circle in a redwood forest cathedral. I don't recall what kind of ritual we were engaged in at the time, but suddenly this cold, icy breeze came through the camp, washed over our knees, and we heard a long, rolling moan. Everyone stopped talking until afterward we said, "Did you hear that? That was no breeze." We didn't try to give it a name. There's a lot of old energies, old pain in there. Lots of the spirits have dwelled there a long time, and they have a lot to say.
And it was only through the sacrifices that I was willing to make to the animal people that I was blessed with their sister and brotherhood and the awareness that came along of it. The awareness that the legends and myths and stories that you hear out of indigenous cultures about the animals as people, as creators, as gods and goddesses, that all of those stories are real. And that they are the remnant of a society and a civilization and culture that lived in harmony with their environment, that recognized the value and strength of the earth and the spiritual world. And that, to me, has given me so much appreciation and such a feeling of honor that I am allowed to represent these most ancient of people, these nations of others we call animals. And that is the task before the generation before us, is that they stand to either do the most to reverse the destruction of the earth and the animal nations, or they can do the least and just allow things to continue as business as usual. And if that's the case, then they have to realize, as do all people in society, that it is your fault for what has happened. It is you that are going to have to answer to your children 50, 75 years from now when they ask what you did during the eco-wars. And in that sense, I think each one of us has to live the life today, this very moment, doing the things that we would be proud to tell our ancestors about.
And in the morning when you wake up, be thankful to be alive and pray for those who cannot pray. For the animals that walk on the earth, for the creatures that swim in the water, and for the fowl that fly in the air. That you can pray that We walk upon this earth that swirls within this universe. Thank you. Oh.
Well, while we got you singing, we'll do a song about the elves. But the elves in the forests. I've never met one. Civil disobedience has many permutations. You can block the streets in front of the United Nations. You can lay down on the tracks, keep the new trains out of town. Or you can pour gas on the condo and you can burn it down. So here's a toast to the night. 3 cheers and a grunt. That's your part. Hey, hey, hey. Oh! Very good. Very good. You got it. Next time we'll all get it, right? And then you can